All right, what's up, everybody? Hutch here, and this is your Module 2% practice test. Follow this along carefully if you want to double check and make sure you understand everything and are doing all these problems the way that you would be expected to increase your chance of success. All right, notice each layer here is a lesson. So lesson 1, lesson 2. So if you need to reflect back, you can. All right, let's go ahead and get started and go over how to do all this. So I noticed lesson 1 is percent change. So I remember right away that that is end minus start over start. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and fill in this. But before I do, I want to go ahead and label. So from 4 to 10, that's start and end. So end minus start over start. Make sure that all matches. 10 minus 4 is obviously 6. And then 6 divided by 4 gets us 1.5. So there's my decimal. And then I can go ahead and swoop. And we end up with 150%. And then I need to make sure I label it and write that that was an increase from 4 to 10. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and make my answer stand out by either circling, boxing, or highlighting. Okay. All right, on to number 2. At a yard sale, Elise priced her earrings, you know she loves her earrings, for $12.20. She ended up selling them for $9.75. Here's my start. Here's my end. I'm finding the percent of decrease. Okay, so you can make some notes to know that that goes down, just to remember. All right, let's set it up. End minus start over start. Go ahead and substitute those variables. So we have 9.75 minus 1220 over the start. I'm double checking. Yep, it's 1220 equals. And then I'm going to do this on a calculator, being really careful to look at what I'm typing. Equals, and it is a negative because we're decreasing, divided by 1220. All right, and there we go with our decimal, which is negative 0.2008. That'll be good enough. What does that equal as a percent? Swoop, 2 to the right. And I don't need to use the negative anymore. I just have 20. We're going to the nearest tenth. Okay, so I'm cutting it here. And so that's going to be 20.1%. And this was going down, so it's a decrease. And I'm going to make my answer stand out with that. Okay. All right, next, let me go down one notch of pen thickness here. All right, number 3. We're moving on to lesson 2 now. Cost of a hotel room during Evan's trip to the Stanley Cup is $168. The hotel room tax in the city he's in is 8.25%. What's the total cost? So I know that we're dealing with tax and things like that. So we know that we do our proportion equation for these. Fill in what we know. Okay, I know 100 goes here. The room tax is 8.25%. Let's see what this money is. It says the cost of the hotel room is that. That's my OG, or my original whole. So we have 168 here. This is my pre-tax. Okay, and then I want to find what is 8.25%. And you could solve that or add it on. But I'm going to go ahead and use the 108.25% instead, because 100% of 168 is 168. And I want to know what is an extra 8.25% on top of that if I'm going to be adding the tax. Okay, and so that's why I'm using 108.25 instead, so I don't have to add it on at the end. All right, let's go ahead and put my final price, or my total cost. I'm not going to use T because that's a bad variable to use. All right, we're going to cross multiply. So I have 100F equals, and then I need to multiply 168 times 108.25, and we get 18,186. Let's go ahead and isolate your variable, dividing both sides by 100. And we end up with, I'm going to reread it, what is the total cost? So total cost equals, dividing by 100, the trick is 2 swoops to the left, and I need my money sign, 181.86, okay? And then I'm gonna make my answer stand out by boxing it in. All right, I see another tax, so I know that is creating my proportion equation. I know that 100 is going on the bottom, and now let's analyze our problem. Caden spends $28.25 before tax at the Barbie store. Interesting. If the sales tax rate in the city is 6.25%, what is the total cost? Okay, so I know the OG is right here. That's my W. And so we have 28.25. The tax rate is 6.25. So I could find what the tax is and then add it on to get the total. But I'm going to do my trick of finding the 100%, which is 28.25, plus the extra, so that it just saves me a step and adds it automatically. Okay, so let's find the total cost. We're going to call that our final and cross multiply, just like we always do. So we have 100F equals, let's do this multiplication, 28.25 times 106.25, and we get 3,001.5625, and we're writing all the decimals out. We don't round until the very end when we're doing math work, okay? I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 100 to isolate the variable. And let's reread our question. What is the total cost? So I'm going to go ahead and write total cost equals, and then we're dividing by 100, so I'm going to do 2 swoops to the left. And my total cost plus the tax ends up being $30 and 0, because we have a 1 here, but we have a 5 next to it, 0.2. So it doesn't say to round, but remember it's money, and we always round money to the hundredths place no matter what. That's just a standard thing that you do, okay? And so there we go. It wasn't much more tax on there, so it went from $28.25 to $30.02. All right, we're moving on to lesson 3. Lesson 3 is about markups, which really is the same thing as tax, okay? So the wholesale cost of the game, Lena wants, is this, so that's my OG. The markup for the game is 26.6%. It's just like a tax. It's an amount that we're adding on. Find the selling price, okay? So we don't know the price after markup. Let's go ahead and create our percent equation. That's what we do for problems like this. I always know the 100 goes here. I know my OG, my original, goes here. Now for the percent. I could find 26.6% and calculate what that markup is and then add it on. So that's one option. But instead, I'm going to skip that step and find what is the 100%, meaning the 46.75, plus the markup to save me that step. So that's 126.6, and that'll just get us the answer, okay? All right, now that'll get us to the final selling price. Let's go ahead and do means extremes or cross multiplying. And we have 100F equals, whatever this multiplication is, 46.75 times 126.6, and we get 5918.55. I need to isolate the variable. I'm going to divide 100 on both sides, and we get, I'm going to reread the question, find the selling price, okay? So we have a selling price of, swoop, swoop, because of the divide by 100, money sign, $59.18. Nope, 19 cents because of that 5. Okay, highlight, circle, or box your answer. And there we go. All right, let's shift over to number 6. The Max Pet Store sells a large dog kennel for $78.50, specifically for holding dogs named Jake. Interesting. The wholesale cost of the kennel is $50.25. What is the percent markup? So I notice it says wholesale cost. So wholesale cost is my OG. That's my W. It says what is the percent. So I don't know the P in this one. So this is definitely something that I need to slow down and think about a little bit because it's not the norm. Okay. So let's go ahead and create your percent equation. So blank equals blank. We always know it's out of 100. That's a given. I know my wholesale cost is 50.25. So that's something I can guarantee there. So now it comes down to this other stuff. I know that I don't know P. So P is going to go there. And then now we have this markup thing. And we remember that number 6 was one of those tricky ones. That hasn't changed for this. But I still need to know what to do when we're asked a question like this. So we need to slow down and think. It says, what is the percent of markup? Now you have to answer the question of what is a markup? Well, a markup is the amount of money you're adding on to the original price. So I have to ask myself a question. Is this the amount of money I'm adding on to this? Well, no. I'm adding on this mystery amount, and it's getting me this, okay? So how do I figure out what that mystery amount is? Well, it's 50.25 plus something got me that big thing. So inverse operation says I can just subtract to find out what that markup amount was. So let's go ahead and on the side, I'm just going to do a little markup work. So if we had $78.50 as a final, I'm going to subtract the OG original, and we have $78.50 minus $50.25, and we had a markup. So I'm going to label this my markup of $28.25. So this is the information that I need to use for this spot is $28.25. And the way that I want to double check is I want to go, okay, what is the percent of markup? Well, the percent of markup is going to match that number. That is the markup amount. So let's go ahead and do our cross multiplying and solve for the percent. Okay, so we have 50.25p equals times 100, swoop, swoop, 2,825. Let's go ahead and isolate the variable, divided by 50.25 on both sides. Okay, and then we end up with a percent markup of, let's go ahead and do that division. Oops, my calculator's over here now. 28.25, so 2825 divided by 50.25, and we get a percent markup, and let's see, round to the nearest percent of 56% markup. And there we go. Okay. All right, let's go ahead on to number 7. A nail store is having a sale. The nail service has an original price of $86. It's on sale for 30% off that original price, and then they want you to find the sale price. So this is my OG. It's on sale for 30% off the original. Find the sale price for Tony to get his nails done. This is very important for Tony. He likes having nice nails. So here's where you don't have to draw this box, but just remember, if the discount is 30%, we're removing that amount. And so to save time, you could find 30% and then subtract the 30% to find the new sale price. But instead, we could just do find the remaining percent after that discount is taken away. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just find what 70% is. Okay, so let's go ahead and set up your percent equation. I always know this is out of 100. I'm looking for the remaining percentage after I remove the 30. I know my OG was 86, and we're finding the final sales price, so that's going to be my F. Let's go ahead and do our means extremes. 100F equals 86 times 70 is 6020. And then we'll go ahead and isolate the variable. And we end up with, let's reread the question, find the sale price. A sale price of, swoop, swoop, $60.20. And there you go. Okay. All right. Let's check this one out. A swimsuit that Mia wants is on sale for $38.50. If the sales price is discounted 8% from the original price, what was the original price? Okay. So now notice they're saying what was the original, what was the OG. So I don't know the W. So that's something to be aware of. Okay. So let's just start laying this out. Let's get our percent equation. This is always out of 100. We know that. For this one, I do know that I don't know the original price, so I'm going to put a W. Okay. I know the actual final price was $38.50. Okay. So if the final price was $38.50, I need to make sure that my percentage matches that. So they're saying that the original price was discounted 8%, but they discounted it, meaning they removed 8%, and the final price is that. Okay, that is the final sales price. So what percent is that? That's what needs to go in that spot. So if we remove 8%, just to be safe, 100 minus 8, you can see is 92%. So the final price ended up being 92% of that original. So we have to use 92% to make this work. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and do our cross multiplying and we'll find what the original price was. Okay. So we have 92W equals, multiplying by 100, so that's moving 2 spots to the right, 3850. We can isolate the variable now, divide both sides by 92, and we get a original price equaling, let's go ahead and calculate that, 3850 divided by 92 of $41.84, but there's a 7 next to it, so 85 cents. So there we go. Okay, and that makes sense because 8% isn't really a lot, so them only taking off 8% brought it down to $38.50, so that makes sense. All right, on to number 9. Emily put $1,405 into a savings account. The account pays that simple interest. So I know we're talking about interest, so we already know we're doing I equals PRT. Let's go ahead and label some things. So here's my OG principal. Here's my interest rate, but we know we don't use the percentage. We change it to a decimal, 2 swoops to the left. Okay, and I'm actually one of my tips to you was box the new percentage. So there's our rate. And then how much interest after 4 years? So there's my time. So let's go ahead and fill this out now. We don't know the interest earned or owed. This one is a savings account, so it's going to be earned. I know the principal of 1405. Multiply by the rate, which is 0.038. And it is a 4-year savings account. So 1405, we'll multiply everything out, 0.038 times 4 years. And we have interest, and we have to decide what this is. So this is interest earned or owed. It says how much do they earn, because it's a savings account. So interest earned equals $213.56. Let's go ahead and highlight your answer. Okay, it's a pretty good interest for not really doing anything. All right, let's go ahead to Charlotte. Charlotte walked into a bank and said, hello, because that's how she says hello to me nowadays. She borrowed $1,250 from the bank for a new greeting machine. Okay. I don't know why. It's interesting, huh? The interest rate is 8.75% per year. So let's see how much simple interest she's going to have to pay if she takes 21 months to repay the loan. So we right away know this is an I equals PRT formula. Let's find our original principal. That's there. And we have an interest rate. Okay, so percentage rate, but we don't use a percent. We turn it into a decimal, 2 swoops to the left. I'm going to go ahead and box my new decimal that we're going to be using. And then how long, here's my time, but it's in months. So remember, to change that, we do 21 months over 12 months. And 21 divided by 12 is 1.75 years. Okay, so that's the time we're going to use over here. All right, let's go ahead and substitute things. So we don't know the interest that she's going to owe. We're figuring that out. We do know that she's borrowing $1,250 and going to have to pay 0.0875 interest rate. Or percentage rate, and she's going to do that for 1.75 years. Okay, let's go ahead and do your multiplication to find out how much interest she's going to have to pay for this new greeting machine. Times 0.0875. This is how much for 1 year. So let's multiply that by 1.75. And there is the amount. So this is interest owed equals money sign $191.41 because of the rounding. Okay. All right. So there we go with what she's going to need to pay to make that happen. All right. Max sells toy cars and earns a 6.26% commission. Way to go, Max. On every toy car he sells. It's pretty impressive. How much commission would he earn on a car that sold for $4,023? These must be pretty fancy cars. Round to the nearest cent. Okay, so this is still a percent equation dealing with commission. Okay, so let's go ahead and just set up the percent equation to help us think through this. We know it's out of 100. We know that he earns 6.2% commission, and we actually just want to know what is the commission. So for this one, we're actually using the number 6.26. It says it sold for $4,023. And so this was the price, sort of the OG price, and we're finding the commission. So that's why C is on top. The commission is that 6.26. So if they line up together, that's what you're finding. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and do means extremes. So we have 100C equals whatever that multiplication is, 4023 times 6.26. And we have $25,183.93. Oh, sorry, it's not really money yet. It's just a number. Isolate the variable, divide both sides by 100, and we end up with a commission, 2 M's and 2 S's, of dividing by 100, so 2 swoops to the left. How much are you earning for these toy cars, Max? $521.84 because of the rounding. So there we go. Okay, pretty good deal. All right, Vern needs to earn $2,600 a month in his black hole space business. That would be a good business for you. How much does he need to sell if he earns 12% commission on everything he sells? So they're letting you now know what he needs to earn, what his commission reward needs to be. So this is my C for this. How much does he need to sell means I don't know my W, okay? But we do know the 12%, okay? So let's set up our percent equation for this one. It's out of 100. We know that he earns 12% commission, and that 12% needs to be $2,600. Okay, we just don't know how much the original is that he needs to sell to make that reward happen. So let's go ahead and do cross multiplying to figure that out. So we have 12W equals swoop, swoop. I'm just going to read out the digits, 2, 6, and 4 zeros. Okay. Let's go ahead and isolate the variable, divide both sides by 12. And we end up with, let's reread, how much does he need to sell? Let's just go ahead and we'll probably have to write this out. 2, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros divided by 12. All right, $21,666.60, rounding 7 cents. Oh, he's got to sell a lot of black hole space business. Holy moly. All right, so let's answer the question. How much does he need to sell? He needs to sell $21,666.67 worth of black hole space business in order to earn his commission of $2,600 a month. Well, good luck, Vern. I hope you succeed. All right. Last two problems we're on to percent error now. And remember, percent error is comparing your error between your estimate and actual compared to what actually happened. Okay, so let's identify estimate and actual. Mel estimates the weight of Ryan's cat to be 8 pounds. There's my estimate. And the actual ended up being 12.25. What is the percent error? So we know that this formula is the amount of error divided by the actual thing that happened. So we can compare that. So let's go ahead and set that up. The amount of error would be our 12.25 minus the 8. We want to know what is the difference between the two. So I'm going to do 12.25, oops, be careful there, minus 8. So the difference between my prediction and what actually happened was an amount of error of 4.25. And then we can go ahead and write what the actual was to compare it against that. Okay. And then we can go ahead and do that division. So 4.25 divided by 12.25. And our amount of error ends up being, as a decimal, 0.346938. I don't really need any more than that anyway, because we're going to only round to the tenths place, like it says here. So as a percent, we have 34.7%, and we label that as error. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead. The last question, which is Madison. Madison estimates that she will do 70 push-ups this week. She actually does 52. Here's my estimate. Here's my actual. We know what the percent error formula is, amount of error over actual. So what was her amount of error? Well, we guessed 70, but she actually did 52, so minus 52. So we were 18 off. So my amount of error is 18. What was the actual? We'll compare it with the 52. So 18 divided by 52 is this decimal, 0.3461 538. Plenty in there. We're going to the nearest hundredth of a percent. Swoop, swoop. Hundredth is here. So we can see we are going to have to round there. So we have 34.62% error. And there you go. There's all the problems that you are going to need to do for the test is right there. Okay. All right. If you need help, make sure you reach out and let me know. But honestly, if you haven't at this point, I don't know, you're going to have to hustle and hope for the best. All right. Good luck. See you soon.